Welcome to another great day in the neighborhood, if I can say it like that. A little Mr. Rogers, if you will. I hope your quarantine and your self-distancing is going well. My name is Scott Mendenhall, and we're excited to have you here today. I hope you clicked over from the last video, which was Lily, Joey, Kristen, and I playing a little game of Pig. Do you actually know how hard it is to orchestrate those videos when you can't be around each other and hope that they are somewhat entertaining? So I hope you're finding it slightly entertaining. And here's why we start on that YouTube channel and come to here. Just a real quick why. We're doing it because our hopes is that the audience that is there, and maybe it's you. You've watched some of those One Wheel videos and you've enjoyed that stuff, but you want to know why we're always smiling. Why do we say things like we want to be hope dealers, faith spreaders, and love givers? Why? Well, in the next few moments, we will share concepts of why we function like that, why we behave like that. And our hopes is to move a conversation into this environment. Also, those that are from Unlocked Church, we know, as awesome as I think I am, your kids probably don't find me as awesome. And they get really bored with just a talking head. And so we try to entertain them at the beginning, to where you can all sit down together, laugh a little bit in a chat room, and then come over here and hear this. And if you have little ones, we provide, not just little ones, high school, middle schoolers, we provide throughout the week digital small groups. And if I can say, the Lilies and the Joeys and the Kristens and all of those that are making the digital space just amazing, and there's so many more than just them. You need to get your kids involved. Sign up. You don't even sign up. You just go to unlockedchurch.com, click on digital small groups, and there you'll find a list of those things happening there. So I invite you to join in on those things. And if you're here from One Wheels and you like that, on Wednesday at noon, we're doing One Wheel Wednesday conversation on a Zoom call or a GoToMeeting call. Jump in there. Okay, that said, let's get to today's topic. That's just a lot of just me talking. Well, last thing. Do you know that, like, when I'm doing this room is empty? Maybe you can hear that in the sound. It's just me in two cameras, and I have to try to remember which camera did I speak to when and what was I doing, and I'm freaking myself out right now. And I have to hope that I don't get this wrong or mess up something, because you know what I do is I stop recording and I start all over. And so here's to hoping we don't have to stop the cameras and we can just keep it rolling, because you know what happened last week? We couldn't get the video posted because of technology issues until about 4:30 a.m. Sunday. That's right, I did not sleep that night trying to get this to you. Let's hope we have a better go at it this week, as we are on a learning curve. All right, today's topic. As we wrapped up last week talking about being hope dealers, faith spreaders, and love givers. Love that thought. We are working on t-shirts. We want to dive into more of how can we be more of that. How can we be hope dealers, faith spreaders, and love givers? What is it that we need to have? What are things in our toolbox that we need to have that just would inspire us to inspire others and to actually pull ourselves out of the bottom of sometimes that barrel? What do we need in our toolbox that would help us get out of the funk in the world, the dreariness sometimes that attaches to us? What is it? And that's our hopes over the next few moments. The other day, I was online ordering from Rich Froning. He's a CrossFit athlete. He has a farm with buffaloes. I almost stopped the cameras there, but I didn't. He has a buffalo farm, and he sells buffalo meat. And that's really good for you. And we're trying to get more meat in this house because the limits that are out there, where you can only buy one thing of chicken at a time. Well, a family of 8 kids, 2 adults, one pack of chicken feeds a whole family for a meal. So we're just trying to offset the meat issue. So we're getting a hold of some buffalo meat. And when I was on there, right in front of me, read this paragraph. I want you to see what I saw, so I'm going to throw it up on the screen for you to see. This idea that buffaloes are one of the only few animals that turn into the storm, and they don't just face it head on, they walk through the storm. They go through it. They realize that the quickest way through the storm is to walk through it, not to wait for the storm to pass by. But if we turn and face it and then walk through it, we will get through the other side quicker than other animals that would be trapped in the same storm in the prairies. Would be like the hares and the wolves and foxes. You know what? They burrow down. They stay put and let the storm pass by. And I love that idea, the analogy in my mind of a massive animal, the buffalo. He turns and faces the storm. And it's safe to say that a given topic like facing the storms of life, this isn't all play, all skate all of a sudden. A lot of times when you talk about storms in life, it's some are going through some storms and other people need to put this away in their toolbox so that later on they can pull it. But this is for everyone all of a sudden. This is, we all need to pay attention to. We need to realize that we got to walk through this storm and not just wait for the storm to pass by. And so over the next few moments, I hope to unpack a way that we can be people that will walk through the storms in a head-on attitude, not a back to trying to protect ourselves, but going, oh, I'm going through this. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. And if you're not brand new around here, you know everything sparks a story in my mind, just like this one. 2 years ago, Collins and I, Holly's dad, we were fishing on a big lake here in Minnesota, Mille Lacs Lake. Love that lake. I would love to go up there and catch walleye. Growing up, spending my summers in Brainerd, Minnesota, and I would sometimes journey over to Mille Lacs Lake for night walleye fishing on the big charter boats and stuff, and had a blast. Well, 2 summers ago, Collins and I decided we're going to go out and we're going to go fish, and we were fishing. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out. The water was like glass. Here's a picture of Collins catching a really nice walleye on that lake. Look at the background there. Look at the blue skies. Barely any waves on this lake. And this lake is known for being quite wavy at times because it's just big and it's open, and if there's wind coming through, by the time you're on the other side of the lake, the waves can be 3-4 feet tall. And so pristine weather on the lake. And then all of a sudden I said to Collins, hey, you see over yonder? You see over on the other side? What do you think about those clouds here? And we're both like, we'll be all right. We don't need to worry about those. And all of a sudden we're fishing and we're watching all these other boaters taking off and going in. And we're like, awesome. More fish for us. We literally said that. Look at all those people are going in. We're going to catch all the fish. This is so great for us. And so we just sit there. We're excited about what's about to take place. And we're fishing and fishing. All of a sudden, clouds roll in, and it was like somebody just flipped on a light switch, and the wind started howling and ripping through us, and the waves began to pick up some serious rollage to it. It was no longer 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. It was enough waves to come over to the bow of the boat. And you know me, maybe you don't, but I like to document life. And so I pull out my iPhone and I just started making a video of said moment to capture it. And I'm jacking around at this point, and I would love you to see at the state of the storm we were in, how I was viewing it. Check this out right here. We are currently trying to get out of a massive storm that just came up. Colin said a moment ago we left the fish. We're not getting anywhere. If you find this video, it's because we didn't make it. As you can tell, no life jackets are on, and I'm making a joke like, haha, if you find this video, we didn't make it. I mean, moments from me shutting the camera off, I looked at Collins and said, Collins? No, seriously, Collins, I think we should put our life jackets on. Like, we just shot a video of me not having a life jacket on, and we're idiots. Let's put on a life jacket. And so we put on life jackets, and the water's coming over to the front of the boat, washing some of our gear out the back of the boat. And I'm just like, Collins, what do we do? I've never been in a storm like this. And he's like, just keep the nose of the boat the direction of the wind and waves. And so I'm doing that. He's just like, whatever happens, we can't lose power to the boat. And I've got a 115 horse motor floored. I'm just all out, and we are going nowhere. I'm looking at a map, and it's saying we are still over the island that we were fishing, where that big picture or the big walleye was caught. We're still sitting right there. And I'm just like, Collins, how long can we go at this pace? And he says, however long it takes. We've got to do this. And so all of a sudden these waves come and we come up, and you just felt the whole boat come out of the water and then bam, down on to the waves or the water, and we hit so hard that it shut the motor died, all the switches shut off, and all of a sudden we lost everything, and the boat begins to turn. Waves are now coming over to the side of the boat. You can feel the boat just like rocking. Terrifying moment. I get it cranked back up after a few goes. We're back facing the wind, and at this point, I'm starting to think like bad. Like this isn't going to work out really well. Fear's starting to creep in. Like, man, did I kiss my wife for the last time? Did I say goodbye to my kids for the last time this morning right before I came out here? Like, it's just this creeping feeling starts coming in. And then you begin to really offer up some really quick prayers, because in that moment, there's no time to pray really long. Like, I'd like to tell you, I thought like really holy thoughts, and it was really good. No, it was like, Jesus, little help here. Little help. What should we do? And you can't hear Collins anymore. The hail's coming. It's just loud. And so we're just fighting through the storm. And after one more big launch of waves and then hit the ground, the boat kills again. And I get it started back up. And I'm like, Collins, we cannot. I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified. Obviously, we make it because I'm standing here today to tell the story. But the craziest thing happened. I looked down at the map when right before everything shut off and we are still over the island. Everything comes back on, and it says that we are within feet of the dock. And within like a few more seconds, all of a sudden, it was like we passed through. Here's the boat, and we just passed through the storm. Like you could look back and see the rain and hail and wind, and now all of a sudden we're back in the calmness of the water, and we just, like there was no words spoken. We got to the dock, he got out, got the car, backed it up, we put it on the trip, still no words spoken. We just got in the car, we're soaking wet. We just like for a moment just take a break, and then Collins utters these words that were so profound and so thought-provoking, and it was just, we're in a tight spot there. And then we laughed. That was it. We were in a tight spot. He got it from a movie. It was a movie line, and that's all. It's what we've always said from there on. We were in a tight spot there. And so today I want to talk about storms, not physical storms like that, but storms in our life that can feel like that can raise the exact same emotions of feeling like you're in danger. A lot of problems with fear is that we are not presently in danger. We are projecting fear in the future, which makes us feel like we are in a life-threatening situation at this given moment. Now, it's Palm Sunday. This is the Sunday before Easter. Even me, as a pastor, I forgot about that. Hey, this is Palm Sunday. It's a pretty big deal. This is where Jesus comes into Jerusalem riding on a donkey, and palm leaves are put down on the ground in a way to signify that this is somebody of importance, of royalty, and that's why we call it Palm Sunday. And here Jesus is rolling into the city, and he's about to put an exclamation point on everything he has ever said in his life. Because up to this moment, he has said a lot of things that at the time could have been viewed as absolutely bonkers, like crazy talk, like healing people and saying, I can forgive their sins too. And like, you can't measure, can you really forgive their sins? Because you can't see that, but I did see you heal that person. Jesus saying, hey, do not be afraid. Jesus said words like that. Hey, thou shalt not be afraid. Do not be afraid. He says that repeatedly to his 12 disciples and people. Don't be afraid. And it's like, yeah, that's crazy talk when you're in the middle of these storms. That's crazy talk when you feel like your life is on the line. Jesus, you tell me not to be afraid. I just don't understand how you can tell me that. Is that a magic word I just say and it goes away? No, let me just pause for a second. You think I'm going to come out of this and say it's wrong for us to be afraid. No, it's a human nature thing. It's built in us. It preserves our life and quality of life. That is a good and healthy thing. But when it consumes us is the danger. When we don't take breaks at the moment from the news and the posts and whatever is being dropped about today's world, if we don't take a break, fear will control every decision. It will rot our faith away. And then we cannot be hope dealers, faith spreaders, and love givers if our fear runs rampant in our life and robs us of hope and robs us of the faith. And then it turns us in and we are more selfish than loving others. And there's why we want to talk about fear today. And why I was saying in history, Palm Sunday is such a big deal, and how Jesus can put exclamation point on everything he said and did is because, Easter happens, right? And he dies on the cross, and he's dead for 3 days, and comes back to life. And all of a sudden, when he's back to life, it's like, whoa! Everything this man said is true, and we need to listen to it. It changed everything for everyone. We know it today, but those men and women back then on this week in history, they didn't know that. They were absolutely terrified. Did we just believe someone that wasn't who they said they were? Did they turn and face the fear or go through the storm, or did they turn and run? And before we get into the big part of this topic, we like to illustrate this even better than real life footage. I asked Lily, Joey, Kristen, and myself included, I said, okay, here, we got to illustrate this. Turning into the storm means you know that you're going to go through something really rough. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be on the highlight reel of life. But let's do something that would illustrate this. And so last Saturday, most lakes here in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities area, the ice went out last Saturday. And on Monday, I said, if you so choose, let's go video ourselves jumping into these lakes. So the water's just probably over 32 degrees, and we're willing to walk in, jump in to illustrate the point. And I think you're going to capture, everyone did such a great job at capturing the feelings that we've had walking up to that moment and actually executing, because there was a lot of thoughts leading up to the moment when we knew on Monday, okay, we're going to jump. And then when did we execute it? Knowing we were going to jump, because we knew also what was on the other side of the jump. So watch this. It's meant to put a little smile on your face and to illustrate turning and walking into the storm like the Buffaloes. Enjoy this. So we came up with this idea that we as a team would illustrate what it's like to purposely go through something you don't want to go through.
We did not find a dock to jump into this storm. So
we're walking up these stairs right now. I currently want to run back to the car and forget that we decided to do this, but we were asked to do something today, and sometimes you just gotta go full force at it, and even though you're fearful, it's freezing.
I have actually, I swear, I have never done this, where the ice just melted. I've never done a polar plunge. So this will be my first time ever doing this, and I'm not excited.
I've done this before. Actually, I've jumped into water when it was frozen still, cut a hole and went in. So I know what my body's gonna go through here in a moment. It's not gonna be fun.
How do you feel right now?
I don't want to. I don't want to do it.
I feel like I need to be brave because you're kind of freaking out a little bit.
It's just the wind's really cold. If there was no wind, I think I would be better.
What I am excited for is we're about to go down this sweet looking slide. Here we go. Oh yeah, baby!
Hopefully this illustrates the idea of going into the storm, turning into the storm as the lifeguard is now on duty. We are just simply going to run off the dock into the water and out as fast as possible. Oh, this is dumb! That's so cold! So cold! Alright, honestly, who handled that the best? I mean, the water was cold, and none of us talked after we jumped in because it was just downright cold. Our bodies were freaking out. But who do you think in the live chat over here? Let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts of who you thought was the champion. And I hope that you're smiling a little bit. Can't believe we did that. We're really trying to make the most of the season we are in as a church, to make this just not a talking head bit and to make it engaging and what will they do next. But we also want you to walk out of here wanting to invite your friends to be a part of this. A few weeks ago on Ash Wednesday, we did a service where we said write your names on who you're going to invite and bring. You can still invite and bring them to these moments, and they can be in the chat room or they can just watch and learn and experience what Jesus wants all of us to experience wherever we're watching this. Some of you might have headphones on sitting in your bed. Some of you are making breakfast while you do this. Some of you are managing kids. I get it. And you're trying to listen in. My hopes over the next few moments is Jesus will speak to you and you will do something about it. I hear a lot of talk in the news, and just as I talk to people, I can't wait till it goes back to normal. But here's the facts. Is that we will not go back to normal. It'll be a new normal. Because we're going to walk through this storm all of the world is walking through, and we're going to come out through the other side, and there's going to be something new. And if we don't sit here and go, Jesus, what do you want to teach me inside this storm? We're going to come out expecting everything to be just like it was previous to all of these events. And I think we will have missed something massive where Jesus wants to teach us things. He's trying to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I want you to be engaged more as a dad. I want you to log off the social media and spend more time with your family. I want you to trust me more. He's trying to say, hey, these are the moments I want to speak to you, because isn't it interesting? When we come through the storms, we turn our head and eyes towards Jesus much more maybe successfully or more better, if that's a way to say that, we turn our attention to heaven and what do I need to learn, versus the highlight moments. We post those on Instagram. Look at what I did, but we rarely are learning in those moments. It's the storms of life that teach us the most, and we change the most, and we become the most like Jesus on the other side of the storms of life, because our dependence is now moved from things and people and into Jesus, saying, okay, Jesus, I need you. You know, this week I have been asked repeatedly by people, have I seen this new show on Netflix? And I'm expecting a Netflix royalty check just by mentioning this on YouTube. But it's called The Tiger King. The Tiger King it's called. And I've been asked, hey, have you watched this? Have you seen this yet? And they talk about how great it is and how my kids would want a tiger if we watched it. And I mean, this isn't just happening once. It's almost every conversation. But what breaks my heart in that, I'm going to put my pastor hat on for a second, okay? Because I'm into pop culture. I love those things. Is that I wish we were in a season where people going, have you read this verse yet? Because this verse really got me through. Not a TV show on Netflix. Not that I binged and it's so good. What is Jesus teaching you? What is Jesus pulling you through with? What are those things that you're relying on that goes, this gets me up every morning. This restores my hope. This makes my level of faith go up. What are those things? Maybe over in the live chat, put your verse that you're clinging to right now. I know for me, I just read this today, 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. Woo! Look that one up. I'm not even going to quote it. I'm going to let you look it up because, come on. It reminds me what I need to do. Reminds me where my hope comes from. It just is so good. And after you have your verse for the week that you're going to share, then promote the Tiger King. But may we give people a resource that will restore their hope and then entertain them. Instead of, let's entertain them and then think about that. That's just my pastor hat. I'm going to leave it on because I'm going to teach the rest. Okay, here we go. So Jesus walks the earth with his 12 disciples and he talks often to them, don't fear, do not fear. And then it's funny, right after he says those things, when you read through the Bible and how the authors write it, you hear Jesus say it, and then there's an illustration of real life situations where they're walking through the lesson. So you come to Matthew chapter 8, verse 23, okay? This is a story of a storm where these guys get in this. But just moments before that, Jesus is talking about don't fear. Hey, do not be afraid. Okay? And I know when I say that, again, I want to refresh your memory. I said it moments ago, I'm not looking for us to not be afraid. Fear is real. It's okay to have. It just can't be the filter we look through. And so here we go. In Matthew chapter 8, verse 23, after the disciples hearing, don't be afraid, this was their response. Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a ferocious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. Okay, let's just pause there. It isn't an illustration that Jesus is not paying attention to the storms in life. It's just they don't freak him out. He's sitting there going, my Father in heaven has it under control. Ferocious storm. It sounds a lot like the storm I talked about at the beginning with Collins and myself. Actually, the lake this is on is almost the size of Mille Lacs Lake, to give you some idea. A ferocious storm came out of nowhere. Jesus is at the bottom of the boat. Verse 25, the disciples went and woke up him saying, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. And so they're freaking out all of a sudden. They're like, hold up, Jesus. I thought you said you can do some serious stuff here. I thought you were the provider. I thought you gave me peace. Well, you're sleeping on the job. Where are you at? I don't think they just came down and go, hey, Jesus. Hey, Jesus, just like you to know, there's a little bit of a storm out there, and it'd be real nice if you could come do something. I just don't think that's how they woke him up. I think they woke him up like my mom woke me up when I was in high school. My mom would wake me up with like frozen towels and put them in my bed at my feet or on my chest just to wake me up. I get it. I was a tough guy to wake up. I understand that. But that's the way I think they were trying to get Jesus' attention quickly. Verse 26, he replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? And he's a bit having fun at him, right? He's like saying, hey, didn't I just tell you not to be afraid? Am I not with you? I'm in the boat. I'm like right here with you. I get it with us. Jesus is not in the bedroom next door. He's not hanging out with us physically like this, but he is spiritually. We've got to view him right there with us, that we are not alone. That he has not left you nor forsaken you. He is right there with you. Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. Then the men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. Guys, that's why we are hope dealers, is because we should find confidence in stories like this that are eyewitness accounts. This is Matthew was there. He talked to the other boys that were in the boat. Hey, how'd you feel? Yeah, I was afraid too. I was terrified too. Who do you think was more afraid? Oh, I was probably more afraid. And they had these conversations and they write the stories down. So you and I might be able to take from them when we come through storms or walk through storms going, may we walk through them with Jesus and learn what we need to learn. Now, there's a second time that Jesus walks them through. Okay, these are with almost, in time period, it's almost back to back. Jesus, I really think, is trying to drive this home to the 12 disciples, because in weeks from here, Jesus is going to leave them. He's going to die, rise again, and go to heaven. And now it's on them. And if they function inside fear, they won't be hope dealers, they won't be faith spreaders, and they won't be love givers if they function in fear. And so Matthew chapter 14, we're talking about what? Is that 5 more chapters later, we have a different storm. Matthew chapter 14, verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. So Jesus just did this big miracle. You got to understand, what they just saw take place was he fed thousands of people, miraculously split loaves. It's just a tremendous miracle. He sends them to go across the lake, and he goes up to pray. It even says that in verse 23. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already considerable distance from land, buffeted by waves because the wind was against them. It's a storm, but it's like they're just fighting and fighting. They're not getting anywhere. If you've ever rowed a boat, I know we have somebody in our church that was a phenomenal rower, almost made it to the Olympics. And just when he shares the stories, when going against the wind, how much more effort it requires. And it's just to sustain the effort really takes a toll on your cardiovascular part of your body and your muscles. And here is Jesus up on a mountainside praying after doing a pretty big miracle. These guys are out in the water, they're just staying put. It's like, again, part of my story where I'm saying, hey, we were just stuck over the island forever, for an hour. For an hour, we were just there, not moving, and just having to process the fear. And he saw that they were just sitting out there doing all this work, not going anywhere. Verse 25, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them. So we're talking about all night, okay? Just so you get this, the authors are here trying to make sure we get it, that shortly before dawn, Jesus goes down. He saw it, and he didn't go. He saw what they were fighting against, but he did not go. Why do you think that is? Is it because there was something for them to learn, something that was going to make them better as human beings, that was going to make them better as followers of Jesus? I have to believe, yeah. I'm not saying that Jesus makes things happen or he punishes us. That's not God's characteristic. God is God of love. There are times, though, I do allow things to continue course in my kids' lives because I know it will teach them things like grit. If you watch our videos on YouTube, we posted one just the other day where we're one-wheeling with our fishing poles to go fishing, and Inspire kept falling. He couldn't ride very well. I didn't put him on my shoulder. I let him ride the distance. At times, I would pick up his one wheel, and I would move it down the street for him. But other than that, I was not there adjusting what we were trying to do because he was struggling. I was just making sure that he did not hurt himself where it was unpreparable. Right? Did I say that right? We're making sure that he didn't break something that he would be out for a long time. I was there to make sure it was a safe environment where he was going to learn a little bit of grit. And I think a lot of times Jesus in our lives says, I see you in the storm of life, but I got you. But you're going to walk through it and you're going to become better for it. And when we're in storms, we don't see it like that. We just want the storm to be over. We want to get to the other side of the storm without the lesson. We just don't want that. And so here Jesus is on a mountainside, seeing his boys in a boat, fighting all night, not going anywhere. And then verse 20, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on water. When his disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and cried out in fear. They were terrified and they were fearful. And he was the Son of Man walking on water. Guys, and these guys were with him, with Jesus, and they're still struggling with it. I'm giving you permission to struggle with fear. It's okay to be worried and have anxiety and all of those emotions. It just is not okay. Hear this part. It's not okay to live there. You make residence in fear, and it will rob you of so many future hopes and dreams. It will rob you of being a great parent. It will rob you of being a great friend when we function inside fear. We need wisdom beyond our years to know when we need to behave in fear and when not to. And that's a very tough, very challenging place to be. So Jesus is walking out on water. I know a lot of you growing up in church, you're like, I've heard this one before. No, act like you don't. This is like, whoa, this is crazy. A dude walking on water. And we're not talking about ice. We're not talking about some trickery. We're just talking about a dude just walked on water. That should blow your mind. It should make, right? It should just be crazy. But after they're freaking out and they're scared, Jesus immediately said to them, take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. He is saying to you and to me and to everyone in the world, whoa, hold on, pump the brakes. Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. Take courage. It's Jesus. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of your money problems. Don't be afraid of your health problems. Don't be afraid of where you're going to get your food. Don't be afraid. Because when we act in fear, we do not spread love. We do not give love. We do not spread faith. We do not grow faith. We do not grow our hope. And we don't deal hope when we are afraid. It paralyzes us. It neutralizes us from doing anything. We've got to hold on. Take courage. Do not be afraid because it is Jesus. And here's what you've often heard me talk about, and I say it always, is that Jesus would give us eyes to see the needs, but now in this time, give us eyes to see where he is. There's a story in the Old Testament where there's a prophet with a servant, and the servant's freaking out, and he's like, we're surrounded by warriors. Man of God, I think it's Elijah. We're in big trouble, bro. What are you doing? How can you sleep right now? Why are you so calm? The prophet, the man of God, says, open his eyes. And immediately the man that was terrified saw an army that he didn't see there before. It wasn't that they just appeared. It was he opened his eyes. And he saw the army of God surrounded that other army, and it dwarfed them in size. Guys, may we have the eyes to see where Jesus is and where he's working in your lives, and that you are not forgotten and he has not left you and he's right there. Turn, face the storm, ask Jesus, what should I learn? What should I be changing right now in me? What should I do different as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a friend, as a child to a parent? What should I be doing differently? How can I be a hope dealer, faith spreader, and a love giver? What must I do? Don't be afraid, and take courage is what you need to do. And I love Peter's response. He gets so much crap for it. Lord, if it's you, Peter replies, tell me to come out to you on the water. Come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid again and began to sink, cried out, Lord, save me. This isn't a one-time I put my trust in Jesus moment walking out of, yeah, that was really good, real motivation. I will not be afraid. I'm going to take courage because it's Jesus. No, the minute you open up your app that has news in it, you will find yourself where you'll see the fear creep back in, and you have to remind it, whoa, that's the storm of life. I'm walking through it. I'm going to take it on. I'm going to walk through it, but I will not be afraid. Why? Not because you were alone, not because you have enough money saved up or canned goods or toilet paper. It's because who you know. It's not what you know that's going to get you through it. It's who you know is going to get you through it. May that ring something in your head a little bit. It's not what you know, it's who you know that matters most. And here Peter responds, I'm getting out, then lost focus, took his eyes off of Jesus, and he became afraid again because he saw the problems at hand. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand, caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? And I don't think Jesus said that in a demeaning way, in an angry way. I just think it breaks his heart when it's like, man, thought you trusted me. I was right here. I know when my kids, when I put them up on something to jump to, I don't know if you've ever done that, if you set them on a table and say, all right, jump, and you back up, jump, and it's like, you're testing their trust, right? And when they don't jump, me as dad, I'm like, what? Do you not trust me? I'm going to catch you. I'm going to catch you. And they're like, no, I can't do it. And they're paralyzed by fear. I feel something as dad. I feel a little bit bummed that my child of 1 year old that I have no reason to not trust me, doesn't trust me. And I just got to imagine that's how Jesus feels sometimes. Like, why? Why you don't trust me? I got you. See, here's the interesting thing about Peter as you track the story, as we wrap this up. See, the story of Peter and the fears that he's going to have to face in the future, moments from here. In Mark chapter 14, where Peter denies that he even knew who Jesus was to a little girl because he was afraid, and to soldiers, oh, weren't you? No, what? Fear. He filtered life through fear and made a decision that he regretted, going, I denied him. Was driven by fear. But then in Acts chapter 2, because he finally, something clicked, he got it. It wasn't those it was a cumulative stories and events in his life of storms that he walked through that he got it. Because in Acts chapter 2, verse 14, he stands in front of thousands of people, talks about who Jesus is, faces the fear of he could be arrested, had the same outcome that happened to Jesus because he's about to proclaim Jesus is the Messiah. He died on the cross and rose again. And he stands up and says, you better put your trust and your hope in Jesus. And 3,000 people did that just like that. And it was an accumulative amount of storms in his life where he learned and he got through it, and he trusted in Jesus, and he heard Jesus' words when he walked on the water. And may we go back to those. Not, oh, you little faith. Not that. Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. So whatever you're walking through, do not be afraid. And when you pray over the next few moments for your fear, be very detailed on what is it that you're afraid of. Because right now, fear is just all-encompassing everything right now. Are you really genuinely afraid of not having enough food? If that's the case, reach out to us. We have people ready to provide you with food. Are you worried about your retirement fund? You can't control that right now. So don't focus, but pray about it. Jesus, help me with my finances in the future. Are you jobless right now and you need help financially? Hey, we have people that want to help. You've got to let us know. Humble yourself and let us know as a church what we can do for you. Be very specific. And then remind yourself to not fear. Not because there's nothing to be afraid of, but because Jesus is here. You don't have to be afraid. Even when there's something to be afraid of, you don't have to be afraid because you can lean on Jesus. And I'm not trying to be cliche there. I'm not trying to tell you bad you for being afraid. I'm in that boat with you. I've had my moments every day where I have responded in fear, and I don't want to do that. I want to learn from the buffalo, turn into the storm, and walk through it. This storm that we're all in, may we face it head on and walk through it and say, Jesus, teach me what I need to learn. Jesus, I thank you for everybody that's watching, that's been in the live chat. I ask that this thought, this concept would reach out and grab their hearts, and we would have those things we need to walk out of here today and do. How do we apply this to our lives? How do we become better managers of our fear? How do we trust you more? This isn't one of those things, Jesus, we just go, yep, I'm going to do it. We need you to show up in it. Would you give us eyes to see where you are showing up in our own lives? That if it's like that man that was questioning, Elijah, I just ask that you would all of a sudden like this open our eyes to see where great things are happening. That yes, there are tragedy all over the world right now, but you are still doing great work, and people are spreading hope and dealing hope and spreading faith, and they're giving love. May we constantly see those things, Jesus. May we spread hope, spread faith, and not fear. Jesus, we love you in your name. Amen. Thank you guys for hanging with us today. I really hope that this is something that you can hold on to. Would you share it with people? You can copy paste the link on YouTube. There's a copy paste deal. Share it with your friends and family. This is a great way to invite them. Maybe they've been afraid all week, and this is exactly what they need. We do have digital small groups happening all week, as it is Easter week. Next week will be our Easter service. We are thinking up creative ways on how to do this. So look for an email from us on what you're going to need for Easter morning service, because you're going to need a few things to participate in. We're going to try to make it an experience in your own home, okay? So we're excited about Easter Sunday. Thank you for everybody that were logged on today and in the chat rooms and leaving comments. If you're brand new around here, you subscribe to this channel as well, as we're putting out content every Sunday as well, and sometimes throughout the week, just thoughts that would help motivate you to walk through the storms of life. That said, I love every one of you, whoever's watching on the other screen. If you need something, please email us, okay? That said, this one is over.